According to the World Obesity Federation, over 36% of Americans are obese, and in Japan, that number is 5%. Japan actually mandates that every person between the age of 40 and 74 have their waistlines measured every single year. Those exceeding the determined limits are offered help to lose the weight. Well, one British health official is encouraging Western countries to follow Japan's lead, but take it a step even further by measuring the waist of every child 5 years and older annually. Joining us now is Tam Fry, the chair for the United Kingdom's National Obesity Forum. Tam, it's good to have you. I know you've gotten a lot of feedback on this proposal, sir. Of all the approaches that could have been taken, how did you land on this one?
We've been interested in measuring children's waists for about 15 years. We had, back at the beginning of the century, a large study which showed that, in fact, if you took the measurements of children early enough and often enough, that would be an extremely good way of preventing obesity. The problem that we have is that the British government didn't do that. And the result that we have now is a huge number of very young children, very overweight, which was entirely avoidable.
Yeah. What do you say to those who, say, Tam, I agree with you here that, with the sentiment that there's an obesity problem that needs to be curbed, health should be a top priority for everybody across the world. But measuring a 5-year-old's waistline and labeling him or her as overweight is cruel. It's way too early. What's your response to people who feel that way?
It's very simple. The response is that people with children certainly want to know if they're growing healthily. And the weight around the middle is a disaster because it predisposes other problems such as diabetes, sometimes cancer, heart problems, kidney problems. And as a parent, I would believe that they would not wish that on their children. And simply, if you take a waist measurement every year, just once a year, charted on a chart which is probably constructed to monitor waist circumferences, you can pick up any untoward weight gain. What you then do is put in a program of education for diet and nutrition and exercise, and then you watch it come down. And if you don't watch it come down, then you stress it a little more. The important thing also is that it shows if people are losing too much weight. So it's a double-edged bonus, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with blaming people for being fat, whatever. It is simply a way of identifying overweight and then allowing the medical profession to do something about it.
I'm also curious, just to keep probing you about this, do you worry about any psychological issues associated with this approach? Eating disorders that run rampant and start earlier and earlier in our kids?
There are a lot of people who do worry about that. And obviously, I'm cognizant of the fact that it might happen. But if you do it properly, and we would advise certainly in the United Kingdom that a health professional does it, and it's not left just to the child or the parent to do it, then you can actually treat the child or you can talk to the child in an understanding way which will not upset the child and will not drive it into any kind of eating disorder.
And I think I wanted to take, that point one step further there. So once these children are measured, let's talk about the kids who don't pass that test. What about their parents? What consequences do they face? Because at 5 years old, kids, they're not choosing what they eat. They eat what's provided to them. And many of these families are likely in a socioeconomic group that can't afford the freshest produce, home-cooked meals every night from mom and dad, a good example, et cetera. So what systems are then in place to help that child get healthier?
Well, certainly in the United Kingdom, we have cooking classes in school from the age of 5. And therefore, that is the ideal place in order to educate the children into food, how it's grown, how to cook it. And interestingly enough, many of these children take it back to their parents and say, hey, look, this is what we learned at school. Can we have it at home? It's not necessarily an overnight resolution. It's going to take a little time for any family to get used to it. But actually, if you try, you will succeed. And if you try with the help of the government and The government is certainly in the United Kingdom is dedicated to improving the health that is improving the food which is available for children to eat. But we would go a little further than that, because in fact from the age of 2 you can start this process. You can actually take the height and the weight and the circumference of a child at the age of 2, and there you have time available in order to teach these children how to do things, and also their parents how to look after their children.
How to live a healthy lifestyle. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.